Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, Pick Guardian.
Jared Brandon Wound, big ups.
Hey, this is me, Todd Novak. We are super stoked that you are listening to our show, the Guitar Knobs podcast, the guitar-orama, everything about builders and makers and the
movers and shakers,
movers and makers and all that business,
all that stuff.
Yes, Tony, what do we focus on typically here?
You know, the boutique builders.
That is true.
Builders of guitars,
amps,
people that
pedals,
build special stuff,
pickups,
all the things,
pickguard makers,
handmade,
movers, shakers.
Stuff.
We already mentioned them.
Influencers.
We have a very special one on the line today. Who are you?
Hey, I am Cindy Hulej of Cindy Guitars, and I am based out of Carmine St Guitars in Greenwich Village, New York City.
That is fantastic. And
Didn't we talk to somebody else from that very place?
We sure did. We talked to Rick Kelly.
Oh, that guy.
Your buddy.
Oh, yeah. He's on a movie show.
Yes, I saw him on the big screen.
You guys are both on the big screen.
That's right.
So, Cindy, we're really excited to have you on. I really appreciate you coming on, especially such short notice. We just contacted each other last week, and you were available, and that was great. We had an opening, and I was like, woohoo!
Yeah, no, I'm psyched to be here.
Awesome. We're going to have a fun time tonight. We're going to talk about all kinds of cool guitar stuff. We're going to hear about all of your exciting backstory and everything that you're up to currently. First, we're going to take care of some guitar knob stuff. We got a couple of announcements. We're going to give a big, ginormous high five to Rode microphones. Yes, there was one high five.
That was a big high five.
We want to say thank you to them for helping us out so much, providing our audio equipment here in our studio.
Yes. Didn't I see them on? They were wearing Guitar Knobs t-shirts.
You better believe it. My two pals, the Nicks, they're both named Nick.
Is that a requirement for working at Rode?
Maybe. Nicholas Leonard and Nick Stillman. These guys have been so good to us. They've just been trying to figure out, hey, how can you guys work with us? How can we work with you? And it's been awesome. And I'm really thankful for that relationship. And we're recording today through the now world famous Rodecaster Pro console. This is working out just absolutely spankingly. I was searching for a good adjective and that one fit. And then we are also recording through the Procaster mics, which are awesome and we love them.
I like the articulating arms.
Everybody knows that now. So thanks so much to Rode for helping helping the little guy, us, out.
Yeah. There you go.
I have a Champion Lucky magnet sticker on my articulating arm.
Good.
By the way.
Yes, I hope you don't get it too close to the microphone because then that'll screw everything up. All right. So we also, speaking of that, one of our favorite things to do recently is that we like to grab our listeners for on the floors, not just like most of our listeners, but especially those that are involved in our patronage on Patreon. But this one is coming from someone I just mentioned, Nick Stillman, who's one of our Rode buddies.
Yeah.
I said, hey, I'd love to know. He listens to the show all the time down in Australia. He loves the show. And so I said, man, send us your four on the floor. And he sure did.
The dingo ate you, baby.
I'm going to share that with everybody. So his first four on the floor pedal is the Electro Harmonics Deluxe Memory Man, the XO version. And he says, the first pedal I ever bought was an EHX Memory Boy, which was okay, but had some limitations. I became really attached to the vibrato sound on it though, so I sold it and bought a Memory Man instead. It's pretty much the only pedal I own. I would never swap it out for anything else. It is irreplaceable. I kind of use it as a modulation pedal with the vibrato dialed up quite a bit, the repeats short, and the feedback on the brink of self-oscillation. I love being on this brink of I feel like I'm always on the brink of self-oscillation. It creates this warbly wash that is just bliss. It is really hard to turn off sometimes. That's a great one. Number 2, Electro Harmonic Sovtek Big Muff. I got this for 60 pounds from an old rocker when I was traveling in London. You guys can do the currency conversion a few years back, which was a damn good deal considering how much they go for these days. See, they say damn in Australia.
Oh, yeah?
They also say damn in Holland.
Yes, they do. Haha. I think I'd find it hard to sell, though. It is a beast, so fat and creamy. It's been on my baseboard for a while now, but I think I might need to make it return to my guitar board sometime soon. The next one is the Chase Bliss Dark World. This is one of the Chase pedals I haven't really heard a ton about. But he says, I've had quite a few reverb pedals in the past, and none of them have really impressed me that much, which is a bummer because it's probably my favorite effect. I only got the Dark World a few weeks ago, and it has completely blown me away. The 3 classic, quote, reverbs on the World side of this pedal, there's a side called the World, are incredible. Robert Keeley, did a great job. The spring is splashy, the plate is bright and shimmery, and the hull is lush. He's very good at describing these pedals.
I'll say.
These alone outshine any reverb I've owned previously. Then add to the wackiness of the dark side. The filter sweep and tremolo and chorus effects you can get with the ramping feature and routing option is really an exceptional bit of gear.
Woo! That was a mouthful.
I know. That was great. Okay, the last one. I'm going to try to pronounce this right. Ryosuke Effects Sense Compressor. Ryosuke Effects is owned and run by Sean Caskey from the Australian band The Last Dinosaurs, who is a mate of mine, and I really love the Sense compressor. For ages, I never really considered buying a compressor because I didn't really understand them. Welcome to the rest of us in the world. But after I got this, I realized it's a pretty essential pedal for how I play. This one is really nice and smooth, but also has a lot of character when cranked up. The tone switch is really handy too. I rarely turn it off. Mate. I added the mate. Okay. So, hey, thank you so much, Nick Stillman. He has an exceptional coif of hair, by the way. If you go look him up on the internet.
I saw that.
Really
I saw
outstanding.
That. I really enjoyed that for on the floor. I really
that was good.
It was a
right?
good one. Thank you for
That was
sharing.
a nice one.
Thank you for sending that, buddy. Also, I think that's it for announcements.
So, pretty soon here, Summer NAMM is coming around, and I will be down there along with Tony Baloney, and we'll have an exhibit.
And are we gonna get a cardboard life size cutout of Todd so people can take pictures? I was thinking
we could do that. That would be cool. Actually,
that would be pretty amazing.
That would be cool. So you get the real Jared, the real Tony Baloney, and then you get a cardboard cutout Todd.
Honestly, like I might even, if you guys do that, I might even pony up for that.
Oh,
that would be pretty.
That would be really
cool.
fun to do.
Yep.
I probably won't pony up for it.
So anyway, if you're around Nashville, get yourself into NAMM and come meet us. We'd really enjoy it.
And maybe take a picture with the fake me. All right, let's talk about guitar stuff in our real worlds this week, everybody. I'm gonna go with Jared real quick.
Yeah, so I've been talking about the 2 Jazzmasters. They're done. I have them. They're almost done. I need to do just a few more little tiny things. But the time that I decided to buy the cases was actually on Memorial Day. So I got on the internets and I just went to Guitar Genter, or however you want to say it.
You can say it.
And I got a heck of a deal on a couple of cases. And I got them like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And it was a really good sale. I think the total bill was $130
for two cases.
For 2 cases?
For 2, yeah.
All right.
They're Gator cases.
Oh, okay.
They're not super high quality.
But still, that's a smoking good deal for us.
Smoking good deal. And when I opened the boxes,
those are good quality cases.
They're not bad. Yeah, they're good. Yeah. And there was a bunch of this paper packaging in it, and I was like, score, because I use that all the time. And so I kind of felt good seeing that. And then I looked at the case, and I'm like, this is not going to fit. It's not going to fit. put the guitars in there. Perfect fit. I was so happy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I got these cases on a smoking good deal, and they fit great.
And you got packing material to boot.
I got extra packing material, a lot of packing material, so I'm really happy about the purchase.
That's great.
Nice.
Cindy, how about yourself? We'd love to hear from you at this point in the show, and so would everybody else, so we didn't just make that up.
I mean, basically, in my world, I'm kind of in the middle of a build where I'm doing lap steel inlays based off of the 49 lap steel, like the Fender lap steel inlays, but I'm doing my own version.
Oh, wow.
Which is kind of a pain in the ass because the smaller dots and stuff, I don't really have a bit for it. They don't really make a bit that small. So I realized I have to drill or I have to hand cut 8 smaller dots, and obviously the oval ones and things like that. But
wow.
In terms of anything else, I mean, I feel like nobody else that I really know are into like those jazz tone picks, which like, I don't know why, because I really grew up, like my dad played guitar for 40 years. And so I grew up watching him, and like, he was a really good guitar player. But he played like the really, like the gray nylon, like, Dunlop picks, or he played the just like big triangular, like bass picks,
Right.
So he would give me those bass picks, and I've always been between those. And since I started at the shop and found the Dunlop, like jazz tone 205s, like those really thick little teardrop shaped black ones with the gold, I swear, like I can't do the 206, I can't do the 204, I can't do any other size, but the 205s are just my favorite. And I don't know why, but it doesn't matter what I'm doing or what I'm playing. But like, I just find those so comfortable. And like, I don't play jazz really. I'm kind of all over the place, from blues to like metal or like whatever, I grew up with punk rock and southern rock and the whole classic guitar thing. But like, I just love those picks, and I love like the big triangle bass ones too. But
perfect.
Cool.
I mean, as far as anything like that, that's kind of a...
Oh, that's a good window into your guitar world right now. That's cool. Tony Baloney, how about yourself?
Well, every once in a while, a project presents itself that I can involve people that I work with closely. A good customer brought in, and it's nothing special, but to him it's special. It's just a Squier Jazzmaster that he wanted to beef up a little bit, put a new guard on it. So we're going to do something fun there. But then he was saying, I'm just not happy with these Jazzmaster pickups. Mm-hmm. I said, well, what do you want to do? And he said, well, I really like P90s. So I said, let me get in touch with my buddy Jared over here to see if he can make a P90 that will fit into a Jazzmaster cover.
Yep.
And 5 minutes into a phone call, Jared says, well, yeah, I can do that. I do it all the time.
I do it all the time.
He does it all the time. So we're going to, I think we're going to make this guy very happy by putting basically from the top side. He likes the look of the cover of a Jazzmaster pickup. He just isn't crazy about the tone. So we're going to fix him up, I think, pretty good with this. And of course he wants, it's a kind of a red metallic Jazzmaster, and he wanted to do the Tiger Eye shell.
Oh my!
So he's going for a
crazy,
really crazy look. So
very unique.
But I always enjoy it when I can. I'm very fortunate where I have a guy like Jared that if I have some crazy pickup request, I can just give him a call and he can tell me 9 times out of 10, yay. Yeah. Every once in a while, it's like, you don't want to do that. But anyway, that was just a project that presented itself this past week, and we're going to get on that and make another happy customer for
Thank you, Tony.
Big Guardian and Brandon Wound pickups.
That's outstanding. I like it.
How about you, Todd? What's going on in your
what are you
world
doing,
this week?
Man?
Well, I swung down to, speaking of Jazzmaster, I got my One-Eyed Vinny, which is my Jazzmaster caster thingamabob that we put together. It's rattle can gold underneath
The black, right?
With underneath the black. So that it's got some natural wear. It's got some, some prompted wear. And I said, I just want a little bit more of this. I'd like to see a little bit more of this gold on here. So I got a little bit of sandpaper and started going at it, and pretty soon made a pretty good mess. And so I said, "Hey, Chase," and Chase Gullett, incredibly talented guitar maker,
Love the
and
guy.
he also owns Gullett Guitar Service. I said, "Hey, can you want?" Again, he's the one who put it together and set it all up and painted it and made it all awesome. I said, "Hey, let's get some more. Can you buff this out, please?" So he said, "Yeah, bring it down." And we had a good time talking in his new shop, and now I got it back, and it's just got a little bit. I keep adding character to it, which is fun. It's not a precious guitar. It plays like a dream, but it's not precious. So I get to have fun with that. It's very much a tool. I'm going to use it tomorrow night. I'm going to destroy the stage with it. It's going to be awesome.
Nice.
So anyways, let's talk to Cindy about her guitar
Let's
business
do it.
stuff. Cindy, can you remind us exactly how you
Speaking of
pronounce?
tools.
Yes. And can you remind us how you pronounce your last name?
Hulej.
Hulej. So, Cindy, you are in close proximity daily with the famous Rick Kelly at Carmine St Guitars. And he kind of alluded a little bit to you in our show when we had him on. Obviously, there's a movie out right now about your shop and what you are doing there, and Rick's history and how the whole thing kind of came about. And we were just so pleased and honored to have him on the show. We had a great time with him, and he spoke so highly of you. And so instantly we're like, well, we got to get her on right away. So we're going to drill you with a bunch of questions. We're going to ask a bunch of things, and you can answer those things.
Uh-huh.
All right. I think, first of all,
Yeah.
you just had this big movie thing happen to you. Can you tell us just a little bit about how that affected you, where you are with that right now?
I mean, personally, I've done a lot of traveling because of it, and I feel like because I've taken on the social media, whereas, I wasn't even on social media before I was at the shop, which was actually 7 years ago now. It's not 5 like the movie says. I mean, that was shot when it was 5. It's 7 now. So I've been building for 7 years, but, I started the Instagram back then because I felt like people needed to see what Rick was doing. So that's when I started the Carmine St Guitars Instagram. And, I was off social media at that point. So between that and, all the promotion, it's kind of like I'm dealing with now because I have my own brand. And Rick was like, well, you have to be on Instagram and Facebook now too, because, you can't be just under the Carmine St one, that's like, you got to be under Cindy Guitars too. And like, let people know that, you're your own thing and what you're doing is, what you're doing. So, I deal with my Instagram. I deal with his, his Instagram, with the shop Instagram. I deal with, my emails and the websites, and then I also deal with the traveling, really, because, Rick didn't leave his bench the last 30 years until he went to Toronto back in September or early October. I think it was September, actually, early September, for the movie. And that was only a few days. And then that was his first time technically out of country. And then he went to Amsterdam, which was his first time out of country, really, for a few days. But for me, it's been a lot just because I've had to travel so much, but it's been a real life changer in terms of experience, even if it's, it's kind of that thing, like I really want to be behind the bench, but it's also kind of an experience of a lifetime kind of a thing. And it's important for me personally to be out there representing this shop as best I can when we're in this position, because I know that Dorothy and Rick are where they're at. It's kind of like, hey, I should go out there and talk to people that really do like the movie and, would want to meet someone or whatever. And, if Ron can't make it, the director, then he's always sent me the invitations for stuff. So I feel like I've tried to just pick that up. But it's really just kind of that thing where me and Rick both just really love working. And, we like that kind of like go home, work a little bit, hang out, do your thing, paint, whatever, work in the shop. We don't really work a day in our lives, so the movie's definitely been, it's been amazing. It's just, it's a lot of work, but it's really great too,
Could you have imagined?
They did such a great job on it. I mean,
could you have imagined 7 years ago that you would be on the Guitar Knobs podcast?
Right.
I wouldn't have imagined any of this, honestly. I would have laughed at everything. I'm honored to be on your podcast. I'm honored to be, honestly, no, really, I'm honored to be in the movie. I'm honored to be, just working at the shop every day and being able to do stuff like this, because I definitely feel very, very lucky, especially growing up and coming from what I did. I've worked my way up here 100%. I don't come from money or anything else. So, I mean, it's really a lot of hard work, personally, to get to this place. So
Cool.
Yeah.
It means a lot for sure,
Well, and that's one of the things I think Rick was really keen on making sure that everybody that was listening to his own episode understood. I really appreciated how, as a mentor, he was, trying to shine as much of his light on you. And I think that says a great deal about him, obviously, but also about your working relationship and your talent. So speaking of your past, I'm going to guess, since you referenced your dad, that you kind of fell into the guitar world via him. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Well, I mean, I grew up with my parents. They were never really married. And my dad was always into guitar. My mom liked music, but she was into stuff like the Supremes and Madonna and stuff like that. I grew up with them both, but I lived a majority with my grandfather, who was a stone setter and built buildings in New York, like Seven World Trade and, a lot of other famous buildings here. So, he worked with granite and stuff like that all the time. And his father was a stone setter here as well. But he was kind of a major part of my backbone growing up. And so between his influence, which he was born in 1935. So, I grew up with Elvis and a lot of oldies, 101.1 CBS FM when it was actually CBS FM and not what it is now. In New York, a lot of the oldies, 50s, 60s stuff. And then my dad played a lot of Southern rock and a lot of just the classic rock and roll stuff, typical guitar stuff or whatever. So, and then I got into like street punk when I was about 10. So my influences have kind of been all over the place, but, and then I had a couple artists in my family. So, but I mean, in terms of guitar though, I mean, my dad gave me a guitar. It was actually a Stewart or a Phonic, which I still have.
Oh, wow.
And I kept it all this time. He gave it to me when I was about 8. Yeah, and I haven't found too much info on that. I know it was probably like some Sears like thing or whatever. My grandmother worked at Sears too, his mother. So I don't know what the deal with it was. I don't know where he found it. I was too little to know the story. But he brought this thing over and it was set up for a lefty. It has lefty controls in it. I don't know if it was set up later or what, but it has lefty controls in it. It was set up for a righty. It had a righty nut in it and stuff. So the controls are up by my arm. I'm a righty. And it was just this huge body. Rick's got the picture of me in the shop when I was 8, when I first strummed it. They took a picture of me in the house when he first gave it to me. But I mean, the action was like, an inch and a half off the fingerboard, and the strings were like rusted. I was like, you guys gonna give me a tetanus shot or what for this thing? Because this is like, I can't play this damn thing. Even at 8, it was just like, what? But he gave me my first electric when I was about 10. And I really, it was a Fullerton. It was a Fullerton Strat. It was a blue Fullerton Strat with a white guard that I ended up putting some stickers on. He traded the necks off later, and I don't know where the hell that neck is, but I have the body here with a different neck on it.
Okay.
But yeah, I kind of learned on that thing, and I had that for years growing up, from when I was about 10 to probably about 14 or 15, and then I switched over to some other stuff. But yeah, I grew up playing that, and that really got me into really playing, you know. And I was always borrowing different guitars from him in the meantime. He had a couple Jacksons, he had a couple Les Pauls, and he had a whole bunch of other stuff throughout the years that I always watched him play on. So,
who were you like emulating early on? You know, I think most people tend to try to play what they like, what they listen to. I know you mentioned street punk. That's where my kind of heart has always been. So, like, curious to know where you're at with that.
I mean, honestly, with guitar, just because I was brought up with watching my dad play guitar, I was playing Led Zeppelin and the Casualties at the same time when I was about 10 years old.
Nice.
Global Threat and like Leftover Crack and all these kind of crazy. I mean, I was kind of like all over the place with that stuff when I was pretty young. And but you know, I was also playing, you know, Leonard Skinner, and then I was really kind of all over the place with guitar. It was more so just, you know, whatever I could really learn. I didn't really care about that at that point. But in terms of listening, I mean, I would always put, you know, punk on. But and then I've always been a huge Ozzy fan, so I love Sabbath and Randy Rhoads and all that stuff. That's always.
Sounds like you got all the bases covered.
We can definitely hang out. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So you go from being, you know, having a guitar in your life to then, you know, obviously playing. You're getting more acclimated to it. At some point, you get the bug to get your hands a little deeper into that. Walk us through that.
Well, basically, I mean, I've always been a very hands-on person. In terms of my art or anything else, I got a full scholarship to art, and I was taking art classes during my high school summers. But I was also playing guitar on my own. I was fidgeting with some goofy bands here and there, and I was in the city every weekend pretty much, growing up, you know, 45 minutes to an hour and a half in New Jersey from here. I was going to shows every weekend by the time I was about 15 or 16. And then, well, when I started dating someone when I was about 16 or 17, I was here every weekend. And then during the summers, I was here all summer. Basically, what happened was I moved here straight out of high school. And I was kind of in between playing and painting and etching and drawing and all this stuff. And I was kind of just around the scene and around the art scene and just around everything at that point and trying to figure out what I really wanted to do. But I really needed to make money because, like I said, I came to the city with really nothing. So I really needed to get a job. And I ended up working at this kind of, with all my, you know, I had about 13 piercings at that point, and most of them were in my face. I got a suit and tie kind of restaurant hostess job in Rock Center at this place called Alfredo of Rome, which had original. Oh my God, I'm forgetting his name right now, and I know it so well. But he's a pretty famous illustrator. And did a bunch of huge illustrations in there. We had original prints and all this stuff. And it was one of the original restaurants, kind of old school mom and pop, where the original one was in Rome from 1913. And They had the original fettuccine Alfredo recipe and all this stuff. They were there for about 13 years, and I worked there for about 3 years and saved my money up. And they ended up getting their rent doubled on them when the lease was up, which ended up being like 40 grand to like 90 grand a month or something crazy like that. And so, I had my own apartment at that point. I saved up and got my own apartment. And I was just kind of like, what am I going to do at this point? I had been working 80 hours a week, saving up, just bartending and stuff. I was actually ended up a bartender, soon into my job hostessing there. So I was mostly bartending I just kind of said, it's not realistic to really try and be an artist in a year. I mean, I know how the art world works, and you really got to have it in you to just do it and really, really put everything into it. And I just didn't, I know you can't rush that. That really takes, a long time. And I was just kind of like, well, I've always thought about being a luthier. I mean, that was always in the back of my head, working on pedals and amps. I used to, bias my amps at home or just fidget with the guitars or try and build some pedals or whatever in the meantime, working there, And it was just kind of like, well, I always wanted to go to school for guitar building and stuff like that. My dad was also a carpenter. But I didn't want to go out west. I wanted to stay in New York. So I kind of just came up with this list. I ended up just saying, Rick Kelly's, the number one person that I'd like to work with, because I was following his work throughout high school on the Gear page. And, I was on the Marshall forum and all those, all those online things. I was watching everybody and talking to people and whatever. And I just knew about Rick's guitars and what he was doing, and I just thought it was really cool, and I just wanted one, but I also felt like, the way he was working and what he was working with just resonated with me so well, being so DIY, growing up with like garage sales and all that stuff. It just made sense to me. So I kind of just decided to walk in there one day and ask him if he took on what I called an internship, but really it was more of an apprenticeship, I guess. And the first thing he said to me when I walked in and told him my story was, well, I can't pay you. And I was like, no. I had gotten laid off at that point because of them getting, kicked out the way they did. So I had good unemployment for a year. So that was really the time to focus. And so I was like, no. I want to learn to build, and, that this is, where I'm at, and this is what I do. And that's it, So he kind of told me to, answer the phone, and he'd show me in the back. And that's kind of where it started. And I've been there every day for 7 years,
Wow.
But, yeah, I didn't expect to do custom work there at all. That was something that Rick really pushed me to do. I went in there explaining to him my art background, and I think he related to it because he has an art background and sculptor background as well. Going to art school for sculpture after high school and all that stuff, and being an abstract painter the way he paints and stuff like that. But I was going, nobody's going to want this. I wanted to screw around for myself, just drawing and seeing what would happen with it. But he was going, you got to keep wood burning. You got to keep doing this. You got to keep doing that. Like, it's going to pay off. Like, you got to keep doing it. You're really talented with it. And I was just going, no, man, everybody wants black-eyed blondes and gold tops and bursts. And it's like, nobody's going to want this stuff, Like, I don't want to do this stuff. But, I did it, and I kept getting orders for it. And it's just been nonstop for 7 years, which is mind-blowing to me. But it's been a pleasure to be able to do everything, you know?
Yeah.
Can you go back over one of the things that I think you're known for is this wood burning technique? And for those who maybe haven't seen that, can you kind of explain what it is that you do?
So basically, one of the mediums that I work with on guitars is it's customizing by basically a really, really hot pen. And it goes from about 0 to, I think, like 2,000 degrees or something. I mean, it gets cherry red. I could be wrong on that. I thought that's what the degrees was, but it gets cherry red, and it burns. And I like almost carving into the wood with it. And it, I do portraits. I've done everything from pet portraits to just simple scroll work. And a lot of people even think that, I do that kind of leather floral scroll pattern, like traditional leather work, and on the wood burning, and people, on the wood pick guards or whatever I have to do it on. And people do think that it's leather sometimes. So, I mean, ton of different things that you can do with it, but basically it's like drawing, but you're carving / burning into the wood with pen. It's a hot pen.
Now, is that one of those things? I think we need to ask this because so many people, when there is a unique thing they do and they start doing it a lot, and then finally it catches fire, but they've been doing it for a long time. Not unlike bands that finally hit and they're like, we've been playing these songs for 10 years. We're sick of playing them, but. Right now, the spotlight is huge on you and the shop that you're at. So do you think that you could get to the point where you're like, I really need to step back from the burning? Or is this like, I love it, I'm going to do it forever, yay?
I think that I have a pretty healthy balance. I have probably about 8 months to more so a year waiting list right now between the custom work and builds. So I've got a handful to 2 handfuls of guitar builds lined up, as well as a couple bass orders. And then I also have a ton of custom work lined up all the time, and I'm always working on multiple stuff. So, I mean, I think that as long as I get to do a bit of everything, and then I have my own builds on the side, I think that the thing that keeps me going is, number one, I never do a build the same. I haven't done one guitar build exactly the same. In terms of custom work or anything else, I don't use the same patterns. Everything's done by hand. In terms of literally everything, I mean, I might do a T style or an S style, but everyone that I've done is different. There's nothing that's, there's just not one that I've built the same. There's always some kind of a spec, whether it be the neck shape or, the pickups or the face of it being a different color leather. If I'm using leather on it, I've never done one the same. So, I mean, I think that it keeps me going in that sense, and everybody gets kind of something unique, but it's they're all really classic and different. And I can do a really traditional build like somebody would want, or I can do something completely decked out and crazy, with a bunch of portraits or feathers or or leather or like whatever on it. I've done all kinds of stuff, it's just like crazy, but it's a fun thing, So, I mean, I'm just kind of looking forward to the next thing at this point, because I've always got work lined up, and I've always got about 10 to 15 projects under my belt at once, probably, that I'm working on. So I'm always talking to a lot of people about different things,
That's something that we really get excited about on our show. And there's really the reason that we started the whole thing is because we appreciate the desire to have something hand built or somebody's fingerprint on a specific thing that they do, and to be able to collect those things or have it because you like what they're about. And the guitar world offers so many ways into that, whether it's hand-built guitars, whether it's hand-wired pedals or hand painted pedals or hand wired amps or whatever it is, or straps or whatever. There's so many neat ways to get something extremely personal. And that's so hard to do in virtually any other thing that I can think of in the world right now. I do think we're in a very unique place and time in the guitar world. So,
well, I think it's just kind of a natural expansion of people who buy paintings or sculptures or even jewelry and things like that, because they do want something unique and something that, as you said, someone has their DNA, thumbprint, whatever on it.
Yeah.
And they're looking for something unique, and there's something special about having some, whether it's a handcrafted guitar or a painting or a sculpture or whatever.
Yeah. Cindy, you mentioned, you didn't mention like Rick off the cuff. I mean, obviously there's a very close tie there. You grew up as a builder in that shop. Can you share maybe a couple of things that have been really poignant moments in that span of time that you have been handed down from Rick, or that you've learned from him, or that has influenced what you're doing as Cindy right now in the guitar world?
I mean, I'd honestly say the number one thing is really that the outlook on the guitars, even with being, especially with mine, doing so much custom work. Like, I've had people be like, even people that come into the shop still, they don't even know that I build. They just look at me and think that I'm working up front doing whatever with the computer or whatever, or just doing the artwork, and I'm not a builder. And I think that the first thing is really that we are building tools. Like, our number one thing at Carmine Street between me and Rick, and what I've really tried to do and continue with how he makes his instruments is that they're workhorses of guitars. They play good, they sound good. It's all about the tone, it's all about the resonance, it's all about the wood and the quality and the detail. So I mean, that's really number one. The artwork I love so much, and I'm so thankful for, and I don't want to ever stop doing it. But that is for people who can appreciate, and I'm so glad that people do. But they are guitars, and they are tools for making music. So that's like really number one for us. In terms of the other stuff, I think that with my experience with Rick, I just feel like, I think that as much as I've learned from him, I've also related to at the same time, in a way, in terms of, say, but I've literally seen someone pick up a guitar that, Rick doesn't feel that great about, that's on consignment or something, just some like junker or whatever that someone wanted to just, try and sell. And Rick said, sure, whatever, we'll put it at this and whatever. But, Rick will be like, no, like, you don't want to buy that, even though they're like ready to buy it. He's like, it's like, no, don't do that. Like, buy like something else, or like, here, have this other thing that's cheaper but better. It's like, he's very humble, but very true to just like, just the integrity and everything with him is just so cool. He doesn't try and fake people out. We're in terms of the setups in the shop. I had this conversation with him earlier, because everybody else in the city, everywhere that I know of, is at least like, even with like friends, like friends prices or whatever, it's like, $60 or something like that, $50, $60. And his like normal price for everybody, tuned up, cleaned up, tightened up, new strings, intonated, everything is $40 for an electric. And, just the cost of the strings extra for bass, acoustics the same, $40. Mm-hmm. And it's just like everybody else, like a Guitar Center is like $125 or whatever. And it's just like, he's like, no, like, why am I gonna charge someone that much money when it takes me like 15 minutes to do? I don't care what anybody else charges. it's like everybody else, if they take 2 hours to do a freaking setup, then that's their problem, not mine. I can do it in like 15 minutes and everybody's happy with it. And people come back to me and it is what it is. And I mean, it's pretty funny. Like, it's just like he's literally been building for over 51 years now and repairing and everything. And he's just a walking encyclopedia. Like, it doesn't matter what I come in with or what I talk about. I watched a show on some kind of China, dishes one night, and I found them interesting with how they were doing the designs and stuff. But I came in and I was going, oh, like, what's the name of this, like, type of China or, like, whatever. I was watching this thing last night. He was like, oh, like this thing? Oh, yeah, this, like, happened in this year, and this is how they do this, and this is how they do that. And it's like, you could be talking about bugs. You could be talking about chairs. You could be talking about plants. You could be talking about freaking taxidermy. It's just like he knows like so much. It's crazy. So like there's never a day that I'm not learning. And I think it's the same thing. Like me and him always go back and forth where like he feels like he learns from me too, just because he talks about like when he taught in the Smithsonian back in the 70s when he was in Maryland, and he had a shop there making dulcimers and acoustics. He taught marquetry and an inlay class at the Smithsonian Museum, and he was saying that he would learn as much from the students because he was self-taught, and he would look at someone and, they're doing this way, which, why are they doing this way? Oh, they're just thinking that way. It's just different,
Mm-hmm.
And he calls me backwards Cindy all the time, which sometimes helps and sometimes doesn't. But I've gotten used to it because it's like anything that he does, I kind of like am like always like on the opposite end of the spectrum. Like, what about this, And it's an interesting way of working. But it's really cool. I just like we're always learning every day. There's just so much, but I would say like the number one thing is really about the building and, the tradition of how he's building and why. And, even if I don't agree with him being at like $40 for his setup, if I had to carry this on tomorrow, I would keep it there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, he did this for $40, like, and that's how he wanted it. Like, it's kind of like I would keep things the way that he liked them. And I just really respect, his whole outlook and how he's done things. And it's just very old school and respectable,
You have such a rich life. Clearly, it's nice to see somebody who has that who actually appreciates it. So I love the idea of being around somebody that you can organically learn from, that doesn't necessarily have to be an operational kind of mentor or teacher or something where it's a transactional thing. It's just, that's kind of like what's great about grandparents and stuff, is like, you're just going to learn stuff from them, just period.
Yeah. I mean, we're very much so like best friends and family. I mean, it's not like, if I like anytime I've like introduced him as my boss, he's like, no. Like, he doesn't even like that. He's like, no, I'm not, like whatever. But, it's just like, he's like my best friend, I've seen him every day. And, I don't have my grandfather in my life who basically raised me, and I don't know my dad anymore. And, I've kind of, he's one of my very main people in my life. I keep a handful close, and he's really the number one for, almost a decade now. So
that's sweet.
He is like family to me.
You've adopted him.
It's a good thing.
So do you have any favorite or more memorable builds that you've done over the years?
Oh God, there's so many. I mean, obviously, I have kind of two, signature models, and I think the one is, my signature model is the pickpocket moto guitar, which, growing up with punk and the whole just metal rock and roll kind of a vibe, it's really I wanted to work with leather on my guitars, making my own clothes and stuff growing up, and I ended up making this all matte black guitar, whether it be, a T style, a J style, an S style, or any other kind of, custom shape or build. I do it all matte black, and I do these metal inlay position markers for them. And the face of the body is this textured black leather with an actual zipper pocket on the pick guard, which I call a pickpocket, but a lot of people want to put other things in there.
You mean like spare change?
Yeah, quarters and things.
Yeah. whatever they want to fit in there, I don't know, but it's kind of, that's like one of my signature things. And then, with the wood burning, I really like architecture, and a lot of the old Gothic architecture, like the cathedrals and all that stuff, I've always really adored. And I ended up in the back of St. John the Divine one day in New York on accident uptown, and I just looked, I walked around to the front and just said, I have to do a build based on a cathedral. So I came up with, the double horn kind of a, round bottom thing, and wooden pickup covers to make sure that I could burn on top of those and stuff for the cathedral. And I've done a few different versions of that. And, each one is different, like I said earlier. But, I just feel like every build is so different, and they're all like, most of my builds are either really inspirational and mean something to me. I don't work any other way. Anything I do is not just like, oh, I should just make this T-style, traditional, whatever, even if it's just even if it is just a blackguard blonde kind of a thing. I did I'll do a leather faced version of that, which is what my thing was, with a reverse headstock and a skim top neck. So that was my take on that,
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm just coming up with anything, it's usually very inspirational driven, and it could come from anything that I'm passing by in the street, or a simple photo that I see online, or something that someone says,
Mm-hmm.
And then when it comes to the people that order stuff, each of them always have stories that go behind what they're doing, and most of them do want custom work. So some of this stuff is just very personal and just nice.
I think one of my
beautiful stories and stuff like that.
One of my favorite is the Clash build you did. I absolutely love the Clash. I ran a Clash tribute band for a while, and that one.
Oh, the Clash pickguard.
So cool. So cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the Clash too. Obviously I was very psyched to do that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a custom order too. That was I've got a few other things in the works that I want to do with some, classic kind of punk stuff and whatever, but yeah, there's just been so many of them,
Outstanding. Well,
I think that, yeah, Ian, go ahead.
Oh no, please go ahead.
I was just going to say, Ian Doherty, who has my original cathedral, he actually wanted to get a second guitar, and he wanted me to build him something inspired by a Gibson RD. So I came up with this crazy shape. And I kind of, he wanted an all pine guitar though. So I came up with this huge body, and it was, it's on my Instagram. I don't even know how to describe it. It is RD inspired for sure, but it was, it's chambered, and, So I just kept it solid down the middle, chambered both sides of it, and I got a custom pickup. He just wanted, a bridge pickup, volume, and Bigsby on it. He wanted just like this, like very like, workhorse kind of a straight up kind of build. But he wanted gargoyles all over it to match the cathedral. So like I did this and I made like this hotel guitar top to go on it, bound it. It was like all natural, but I mean the thing was just so resonant, and it was just that was pretty cool because that was the first chambered one that I really did. And it was such a big body that, I mean, it sounded like an acoustic, not plugged in. I mean, it was just so loud. And that's what I really love about the Pine too, is it's just so resonant and just, I don't know, man, the tone with that Pine on Pine with the big neck and stuff it's just awesome.
I want one now.
Gotta wait a year.
Obviously we work with like a whole bunch of different wood and do everything. We just mostly work with reclaimed, that's kind of what we're known for, but
right.
We are known for the Pine on Pine, and that really is kind of a different monster or whatever you want to say.
That was one of the things that I think when Rick was telling us about that, especially the pine necks, like that was such an interesting thing to hear about. So, well, Cindy, I really appreciate you sharing so much of your story with us. Not unlike when we were talking to Rick. I mean, I told him at the end of the interview, I said, I feel like we're sitting on, Grandpa Rick's lap, and we're at the fire, and we're just getting all these great stories. It was fantastic. Hopefully that's not weird because I'm an adult, but but it's, Tony and I have just been sitting there, just like exchanging glances and with Jared and just listening to the to you share, and it's been such a treat, and we really appreciate it.
Todd really enjoys those types of edits too.
Yes, this is going to be the easiest edit ever. We have.
Oh my God, I could go on for hours.
Well, you are welcome back at any time.
Yeah.
We're going to go through a couple things to wrap up our show right now. The first of which is Jared's favorite thing,
which is Would You Rather.
Yes.
Today's Would You Rather comes from our good buddy, Rob Chafe.
Yeah. And just for a quick understanding of who Rob Chafe is, he is one of the premier amp fixer-uppers in the whole dang country, I'd say.
He's very, very good and thorough.
Yes, check out Mad Cow Amplification on Instagram. Pretty incredible stuff. So he shared something with us. Go ahead.
So you have a gig coming up that requires 4 different tunings. Holy crap.
4 different tunings.
4. E
standard, E flat down a half step, D down 1 step, and D-A-D, G-A-D.
Dadgad.
That's right. So there won't be enough time between songs to completely retune for each tuning of Naturally. You can either bring 3 guitars and switch in between every song in a hurry as the band is waiting on you to start the next song. Or you can bring just 1 guitar and use a Digitech drop for the flat tunings.
All right.
What are you going to do?
We're going to go to Tony first. Give Cindy a break. She's been talking so much. Yes, we love it. Tony, go ahead. Give us your answer.
Jeez, oh man. I mean, we're not allowed to put like a synth guitar in?
Nope.
No. How about like one of those rolling keyboard guitars?
Tony.
It's Would You Rather.
All right, I'll just do the 1 guitar because I'm a simple guy, and I'll try this drop thingy, my bobby, whatever. But that won't get you to Dadgad. I don't think.
Well,
I think that does it.
It'll assist you.
I don't know.
It'll assist you, but you have to go Dadgag and then
Yeah.
and then use the Digitech detuner
to do the rest, maybe.
I don't like
knows?
this. Would you rather at all?
Detuner-matic.
Rob, I don't
Rob's
I don't like it. You fix
He's
amps
a
really
complex
good.
guy. He's a complex guy.
You're just messing with my mind.
You're a standard tuning type of guy.
I'm
That's
a standard. I'm a cowboy chord playing junkie.
That's right.
Yeah, I can get behind that. Jared, how about yourself?
So I have actually used the Digitech way, and so I know it works, and therefore I would use it. Now, if I were, if I were very, very particular about the sound that I had and was very, very picky, I think I would probably just do the guitar switching. But if it's, doing, cover songs and just doing a bar gig at a local bar where nobody,
It's not part of the thing. You just got to pick.
I know, but I'm going to do the Digitech thing because I'll end up at the local bar nobody cares place.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah,
Right.
shooting aiming high.
Yeah.
Jared aiming high.
Hey, they just want to hear a song that's somewhat familiar to them, and they're in their happy place.
I understand that. Cindy, what would you do?
Honestly, I mean, I'd probably just bring the guitars.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know too much about the Digitech drop, but I feel like I've actually heard about it and heard good things, but I'd probably just put the time into making sure that I could tune pretty fast and get shit down and just have things ready.
There you go.
That's a totally
I mean,
acceptable answer.
I don't know.
Yep.
I'm just kind of old school with that shit. I don't know. I mean,
There's
I like
no right or
pedals
wrong.
and I like all the stuff that they're coming up with, but
Yeah.
I feel like if I had the choice right now, not knowing that much about that stuff, that's where I'd be at.
Well, I'm with you to a certain degree. I'm bringing my 3 guitars because I already used 3 guitars on stage. This one's easy for me. Ta-da!
You can't tell, though, when you switch them. They're all the same color scheme.
I know, but it's how they're playing with me. It's the interaction. That's what it's about. So
Okay.
I'm choosing all 3. That's what I'm doing. So, Rob, thanks for sending that in. And everybody listening, we would love to hear your Would You Rathers. If you send them to him, I mean, there's like a 90-something% chance we're gonna do it on here. Tony Baloney,
Yes, I am.
bring us home, Daddy-O.
Well, at this point of the show, there's a special group of people that we like to thank.
That's right.
Those would be our executive producers.
I love them.
And you may be sitting out there in your car, in your bathtub, in your lazy chair,
Yeah.
in your hammock,
In your radio room.
in your... What exactly is an executive producer and how can I become one? This is what you got to do. You go over to patreon.com/The Guitar Knobs, and you'll find incredible ways that you can become a patron of this very podcast that you're listening to right here.
Yep.
Hosted by Todd Novak. He's the coordinator.
This is not NPR, dude. Let's go.
people.
Put
you
that
know,
in the thing. at the
People,
end.
please. You'll see different levels that you can participate in and various prize packages that you get for the various levels. And you get T-shirts and you can get barefoot buttons and you get stickers and picks and the piece de resistance.
That's right.
The highest level that you can help us out and the most rewarding would be the executive producer level.
That's right.
And in addition to all these great things that you get, Jared, what happens?
You get to have your name right on the thing.
And that's what I'm going to do right now.
That's right.
So, I'm going to start with Doug Gann, who has been an executive producer, or was at least a patron, and now he is upgraded
Yes.
to the executive producer
Thank
level.
you, Doug. Thank
That's
you.
one of my favorite things.
Thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
So in addition to Doug, he's joined by these fantastic people. That would be Tim Nowak, John Esterly, Chris Heidel, Tig Harmon, Tyler Bray, John Anglin, Anthony Lathrop, Johnny Knowles, Stefan Lam, Rick Lenglu, Michael McVeigh, Michael Senchuk, Brian Robison, Jonathan Jerusik, Ken Sayers, Corey Nigro, Brad Partridge, Michael Van Zant, Doug Christ, Darren Gregory, Chris Kearney, Sean S. John Daly, Martin Cliff, and What's his name?
Tom Barazin.
Oh, that's the guy.
Yeah, well, we thank you guys so very much. You are helping to keep the lights on, as we say every time, and it's 100% true. We could not do this without your help. That is the absolute reality of this thing here.
And we have a little fun in this segment, but really,
sure.
I mean, all of us really dear and truly, I mean, we really do thank you.
Yeah, it means a lot to us. So, thank you for your continued support. And if you're interested, we would love for you to help us out. Cindy, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Cindy Guitars, or I really don't like using Facebook Messenger, but you can find me on there. And really, I take orders and inquiries through email, which is cindyguitars@gmail.com.
Awesome,
sweet.
Tony, how about yourself?
If you need a special pick guard, if you need. I don't know. Yeah, just pick guards.
Mostly pick guards.
Mostly pick guards.
Pickups?
You want to change pickups? I'll refer you on to a different guy. But let's just say you want something custom. Go over to pickguardian.com. You can go to my Instagram feed, which is pickguardian and the number 1. And I think that also ports over to the Facebook thing. But I'm most active probably on Instagram.
Cool. Jared.
You can go to Jared at Brandon Wom Pickups email to get a hold of me, and go to brandonwompickups.com. Check out what I have to offer, and if there's something there that you want that you don't see, just send me an email.
Yeah, like Tony
Like
did.
me.
Like Tony Baloney.
You can send me an email, todd@theguitarknobs.com. You can also direct message me on the old Instagram, where I spend an overwhelmingly large part of my life these days, at Guitar Knobs. And
I thought it was that in Craigslist, too.
well, I spent a lot of time on Craigslist. That is true. And Cindy, we just want to say thank you again so much for sharing your time with us. And we really appreciate it. And we love what you're doing out there. And we hope that everybody goes and checks you out.
Thank you so much for having me. It was awesome.
Everybody, have a fantastic guitar week and subscribe!
Woo!
You have a burning desire.
Dadgad.
Dadgad.
Would you rather? Dead.
I'm good.
I was so happy.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page, and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.